Hey YouTube. Okay, so of course, I'm here for the haves and have nots, season 4, episode 18, 19. I don't know, but it's called I Am Wolf. So, this week's episode, much better than last week. Okay, so let's just jump right in. Okay, so of course, it started off where it left off with Candace, Mitch, and Erica. So, Candace and Erica are sitting in the car when Mitch comes up to the window. At this point, Mitch has revealed what has happened to War when he got busted by the police with the drugs and everything. So Candace is like in shock. Like, I can't believe this. Did you do this? Did you do this for me? Please tell me you didn't do this. I told you don't get involved. And he's like, what, did you expect me to just sit back and not do anything? Like, I couldn't do that. And she said, well, I'm not your girl. He was like, but yeah, but I know that like he was using you. Like he's just using you for your body. I know you weren't trying to hook up with him. Like I watched all of this happen. Then she says, well, how do you know I don't want him? He was like, I know. Candace, of course I'm going to look out for you. Apparently they've had history with each other. So he says, well, I got my family involved. She's like, your family? He was like, yeah, you don't know me. And then she said, Mitch, okay, for the short period of time that we dated, ding, 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 they dated. Apparently, this was years ago when they were younger. For the short period of time, he told her that like his dad like sold drugs and stuff, and she's like, that doesn't compare to War. But apparently, according to Mitch, there's so much more to the story involving his family. He only informed her of so much information regarding his family. So we'll probably find out all of the history with his family. Anywho, so of course they're watching the campaign office, and he's like, well, who are you guys looking out for? And she said, nothing, please just don't get involved in this. Like, you've already got me in enough trouble as it is. War is going to come after me. And then he said, oh, War's not getting out for a while. They caught enough drugs on him, he's going to be in there for a while. She said, he doesn't have to be out to get me. Like, he has people on the outside. Now I'm going to have to be watching my back. Please just go. So, of course, Mitch walks away. And then Erica's asking Candace, what is that about? And she said, oh my gosh, it's just, we dated when we were younger, and I was just a little black girl that he could never bring home to his family. I guess I don't know if he was ashamed or it was looked down upon, but apparently she's salty about that. And this is something that Benny doesn't know about. So I thought that was fairly interesting. Anywho, so then it goes to Jim and David in the jail. So when we first see the jail scene, we see War in one cell, and then Jim Cryer is in the cell right next to him. War is trying to talk to Jim. Jim is just completely ignoring him. He recognizes him, but he's like, I don't have anything to say to you. So then David comes into the jail. Of course, he's talking to Jim through the bars, and he comes in there smiling. And so Jim says, okay, were you able to identify the body? Was it Wyatt? And so David is like, yes, it was. He said, okay, so why are you smiling? Like, this is not funny because you found my dead kid. And so, of course, David says, I identified the body and Wyatt is not dead. He was simply unconscious. And Jim said, what? He said, yes, he is in the hospital now. He's going to be okay. He said, oh, basically, like, thank God. But he said, what do you mean? Like, I thought they pronounced him dead. Like, nobody took him to the hospital. Nobody did anything. Yeah, that's exactly what all of us were thinking. And then he said he was unconscious for 30 hours or 32 hours. And the medical examiner came in and just pronounced him dead. So Jim says, oh, no, this is going to be a lawsuit for sure. And he said, yes, I'm sure. And you will get your money's worth. Okay, anywho, so next thing you know, we see Hannah at the hospital. Okay, so Hannah is at the hospital checking on Wyatt. She's staying in there because she's waiting for a call from Katherine. So Katherine calls her cell phone. She steps out to take the call, and Katherine asks her, what's going on with Wyatt? Is he doing well? Is he doing any better? Is he still unconscious? Is he awake yet? What is going on? So Hannah informs her that Wyatt is going to be fine. They have lowered the dosage on his medication. He's going to be just great. He is not awake yet, but you could always come down here. So Katherine says, you know what? I'm not coming down there until my child wakes up. I cannot see him lying in that hospital bed and he's unconscious. Okay, so although she said he was going to be okay, but whatever. So she just respected that. So meanwhile, Jeffery is walking up to the hospital room. So of course, him and Hannah exchange hellos, and then he basically says like, "Hi, sorry about what happened at the house. Like when I stabbed my mama." And so Hannah says, "It's okay. I understand, but you need to get help. You really do. And after the way that I saw the way your mother spoke to you and the things she said to you, you need help. And you stabbing her, that can never happen again, ever. Because at the end of the day, that is your mother. I do not ever want to hear of that happening again." So he's like, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. And I'm thinking, okay, so when you tell him he needs help, are you referring to, okay, he's a little cuckoo because why would you just flip out and stab your mother? Or he needs help because he's had some type of like verbal abuse going on and he needs like therapy to get through it or something. I wasn't quite understanding where she was going with that. But then she asked him like, "Do you pray?" And he said, "Oh, me and my family, we never went to church." And she said, "It's not about church. Like, do you pray?" And he said, "Well, no." And she said, "Well, you really should. You should, or you can call me sometimes and we can pray together." And then he said, "Okay, well, I'm gay, right?" And she's like, "Okay." And he was like, "Well, I'm just saying because I know you're Christian." And she's like, "Okay, like, judge not and you will not be judged. Like, you're not a freaking leper. I can talk to you." That's crazy, okay? Like, she was like, "I don't fault anybody for their sins, just like I have sins of my own." And I'm thinking, girl, please, because you be judging Candace to the fullest. So that's a lie. But anyway, so Jeffery goes into the hospital room. He's talking to Wyatt. Oh, key point. So before Hannah leaves, Katherine asks to speak to Wyatt. Of course, he can't actually talk. But if Wyatt is in like some type of coma, of course, people can hear while they're in that state of being. They can't respond though. So she's saying, "I love you, and I'm not gonna let that lady do cause any more harm to you." Of course, Jennifer, the DA. And she's like, "I just want you to just wake up, come back to us. I love you so much." Okay, so that same back and forth was similar between Wyatt and Jeffery, because Jeffery goes in there to talk to his friend. And he's like, "Why did you do this? I love you so much." And not even on no like intimate type of stuff. Like, "You're my friend. Like, we want you back. We're ready for you to come back." And he's like really like bonding with him and having a moment with him. And he starts to lay down on him. Next thing you know, of course, Veronica pops up in the room. And she is like, "You look a pitiful mess if your head was any lower on this man." So, of course, Jeffery is looking like, "Are you serious?" Now, mind you, Hannah had warned Jeffery that Veronica was in that same hospital. So, watch your back. So, Veronica, she comes in talking slick and reckless. Well, she says, "You stabbed me." He said, "Yeah, sorry about that." And she said, "Mm-hmm." And so then she starts talking slick and reckless with him, and he's getting irritated. He's like, "Okay, so, do you have anything else to say? Like, because you already know, like, I'm like, my patience is wearing very thin with you." And she's like, "No, Jeffery, I understand. I can see you getting upset. I can see it in your eyes, and just calm down. But one thing you do need to know is that I've had so much going on. I've had such a stressful day. We're going to wind down by going to the engagement party at the house, and it's going to be a great night." And he said, "I told you, I'm not doing that. I'm not getting engaged to that girl. I'm not moving through with this crazy plan that you have going forward." And she said, "No, you will come to this engagement party, and you will never raise your hand at me again, or else think back to that time that Quincy visited you and he beat you up. You will get an even worse visitor the next time. Try me." So he's like, Girl, bye, I stabbed you before I can stab you again. Okay, so anyways, next thing you know, we are now at Candace and Erica. Okay, so they are sitting outside the car watching the campaign office, and then they see David Harrington pull up, and Oscar opens the door for him to go into the campaign office, and they're like, dang, this is how he got me. So Candace puts it all together. She said she remembers when she was in the hotel, David came up to her and he said, I will come after you like a thief in the night. So just beware. I will get to you slowly and carefully. And that is exactly what he did. So she put two and two together. Okay, came through slick with Oscar. Oscar was very persistent, very slick, like came for her heart, made her put her guards down and fall in love, and then literally, like a thief, stole everything from her before she even could realize it. So she's like, okay, he got me, touche, but we're now about to plot, okay? Because David is in a very vulnerable position right now. David, he has like gone through the craziness with his wife, all this stuff with his son. He has lost his side chick. He's just vulnerable right now. So, perfect time for a little honey dip to slide in. Erica. She said, Erica, this is your new mark. I need you to make him fall madly in love with you. Do not be aggressive with it, but make and kind of be like push back from him a little bit in the beginning. Because if you throw yourself at him, that's not going to work. Clearly, it didn't work with Maggie Day. So she was like, all you need to do is just get in there slowly, get to his heart, make him fall madly in love with you, and then take him for all that he has. And she said, bet, oh, this sounds like old times. Okay, so they have this plan to get back at David. Now, meanwhile, David and Oscar inside of the office talking. David asked Oscar, he said, do you have a clean gun on you? Like, I guess a gun that can't be traced. And he said, yeah, why do you need a gun? He said, I'm meeting up with Benny Young, and you know how these thugs act. I have to speak to them in their language. He's messing with my son, so no, I'm not getting his phone lines turned back on or transferred back to his place of employment. No, I'm going to go talk to him face to face, and I guess I'm going to have to show him what's real with this gun. And then Oscar says, okay, like, do you need me to handle it? Are you sure? He said, no, I'm cool. Okay, so meanwhile, we go back to War and Jim. So War and Jim are in the jail cell. Finally, Jim is in a great mood because he finds out Wyatt is not dead. So Jim decides to talk to War. And through all of their back and forth conversation, Jim finds out that they have a common enemy, which is Candace. And Candace has played the both of them. And War is very irritated to find out that Candace actually extorted $7.4 million from Jim. Jim is like cracking up laughing like, War, how stupid can you be? The girl told you she got $400,000 from me, and then all of a sudden from her brother you hear $4 million, and so but it was actually $7.4 million. And he's like, what? Are you serious? Her and her brother set me up. Benny didn't even set him up, but now he's just grouping them all together. He's like, when I get out of here, she's dead. She is dead. Hey, but just letting you know, Candace had those blackmail pictures on you, but I have my own too as an insurance policy. So you think you can get me out of this situation? You get me out of jail, I can get rid of Candace and we'll just be cool. So Jim says, look, I'll make you a deal. If you get me your original copies of the blackmail photos, and you get Candace's copies, and you take care of her, as in kill her, get rid of her, then yes, I will make sure that you're out of jail and there's no charges brought against you. Bet that's a plan. Okay, so now just to end it all, we have David and Benny. They meet up in front of the tow yard. They both have like really big egos. Benny is just going off in the dude's face, like yelling at him, like, hey, you need to get my phone lines turned back on. I'm not messing with your wife no more. I understand why you're so jealous anyway. Just get my phone lines on. David is like, don't be messing with my son. And Benny is like, bro, ain't nobody even cared about your son. Like, just turn my phone lines on. I'm losing out on money. Like the same thing he's been talking about for 3-4 freaking episodes. So then he finally says, no, you better leave my son alone. You know, David tries to act like all big and bad and tough, and it takes everything to get David to snap. So then finally, he's like, they start scuffling back and forth. David is reaching for the gun, and they're struggling back and forth with it. Last but not least, Hannah ends up at the hospital, the children's hospital, to go and see like little baby Quincy. So she sees him in there. He's doing good. He looks healthy. He says, "Grandma, take me home. I feel much better now." So then, of course, she walks away to talk to the nurse. The nurse says, "You can't take him home. He's been here for 3 days, and we're waiting for his guardian to come pick him up." Hannah says, "Not this again." "Well, I can take him. I'm his guardian." She said, "No, you're not. His mother is his legal guardian." And then Hannah says, "Well, I thought he was in foster care." This girl done played me again. So, of course, she finds out that Candace lied, and she's like, the nurse tells her, "Well, Candace has until tomorrow to come and pick him up. If she doesn't, then he's going to go straight into foster care." So I hope you can get something figured out. So we shall see what happens next week's episode. Like, comment, and subscribe. Deuces.